is going on, Movie Meals? Look who it is. It's my friend Andrew. If you guys obviously been around the channel, you were on a long time ago, like 2 years ago.
Very long time ago.
Guest replaced me at a Comic. That was like 2 Comic-Cons ago. That was a while ago.
That wasn't...
Yeah. That was, what, first Wonder Woman trailer or something like that, I think? Right? Didn't you guys do a Wonder Woman trailer?
It was Wonder Woman or Justice League.
Maybe
I don't
both?
remember.
Maybe both. Anyway, this is Andrew. Andrew, tell the people about yourself.
I'm from Bozeman, Montana. Right here. Haven't gone anywhere yet after graduating college. I am currently in a job transition.
What are you switching to?
I decided IT main... I like IT. I really do. But I'm going to go try a t-shirt printing gig and hope that kind of gets me into that graphic design field. That's the thing I actually majored in.
Yeah, graphic design. This guy, as well as Kyle, graphic design. That's how I met this man, through Kyle in school. So like at Shirtworks?
At their parent company, which is Wild West Shirts.
Okay, that's a company for all the people who don't know where we live. It's just a small shirt printing company. At least Shirtworks is. I mean,
well, Shirtworks is their small local one.
Business.
Wild West Tees actually supplies almost every national park gift store across the nation.
Whoa! So if I go to West Yellowstone, you'll be the one working on printing those shirts I see everywhere?
Yep. Next time you go to the West Yellowstone gift shops, those were probably printed right here in Bozeman at Wild West Tees.
Okay, all right. Look at this guy. If you guys know any graphic design jobs you don't want to give to Kyle, let's send him over to this man. Anything. All right, so just how you been? Let's start with that. How you been? Haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah, no, I've been pretty well. How about yourself?
Been good. All right, let's transition into a little talk about movies here. I'll start with a simple question.
All right.
What's the last movie you saw?
Oh,
doesn't have to be in the theater.
It doesn't have to be in the theater.
Last movie you watched?
Psych the Musical.
Really? Is that a movie?
Kinda. I mean, it's
never
about
watched
movie
that
length.
show.
No, the last one I saw in theaters though was Incredibles 2. So.
Okay, and you're a big animation guy.
Yes.
Yes. What'd you think of it?
Loved every moment. Was the bad guy a little predictable? Of course, but it's a family film. They have to let the kids feel like they put the pieces together. So it ends up being a little more obvious for the adult viewers. But the animation was it was beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, just from the freeze frames before the movie even came out, I was impressed by just seeing all the flaying and knitting in the shirts. You could really see how detailed it was, and Pixar did not disappoint. They delivered as always.
Do you think we're getting a third one then? They're going to rush it out?
I mean, if we do get a third one, I'd say they're not going to rush it out. It'll probably be a 20-year wait this time. Let that anticipation build.
No, I bet you 5 to 7 years we get a new one.
I certainly hope so, and I hope that they can continue to make them as great as.
Yeah, I think we'll get a third one. A couple episodes ago, we won't get too into Incredibles because we talked about that a couple episodes ago in depth. But I do think the way they're going to go is a little time skip. Maybe make the kids a little bit older. Let's see Jack being able to kind of control some of those powers. I'd like to see that.
I would like to see that as well.
All right, since we moved into Pixar, one of the questions I had for you is, since you're a big animation guy, what are your top 5 Pixar movies? Or Disney movies or anime? Let's just make it all animation. What are
God.
Doesn't have to be in a specific order, but what are the 5 animated movies that you just immediately come into your mind when you think of your favorites? Something you gotta watch once a year. Something like that.
Once a year, okay. I can top that, actually. I actually went on a horrible spree where I watched Big Hero 6 after it first released every day for a week.
Every day? Oh my gosh! That is a lot!
I'm a superhero nut, and
That's
when
fair.
that and my favorite Disney and Pixar team, John Lasseter, when all those passions came together into one film.
Yeah.
For animation, superheroes, Disney, all that good stuff. I mean, it was hard for me to not love.
That's a Movie Meals first, exclusive on the Weaver Wire. Somebody has topped me watching Star Wars a couple times in a row as a kid, but I've never done that. I've never watched a movie day in and day out.
Not day in, day out. Once a day.
But still, once a day for a week. That's a lot. I've never done that. Maybe I should.
Maybe you should. You really start noticing details you really shouldn't.
Really? Is there something in Big Hero 6 you noticed?
When you start noticing, the actual by the icon and the brand of what car they're driving in the car chase scene. I know you may have watched it a little too many times.
The product placement's hitting you too real.
A little bit.
That's amazing. All right, so Big Hero 6. What are some other animated movies that really get you?
I was also impressed by Moana. Is definitely kind of a top one for me because I've always really liked kind of the mythological storytelling and that kind of thing, and seeing Polynesian culture wrapped into a beautiful animation starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and some other awesome supporting cast was pretty neat.
Yeah, I love that movie.
And since my childhood, Lilo and Stitch has always been.
Wow, I was just talking about Lilo and Stitch the other day and how, I loved that as its movie that released, but then I also as a kid loved that TV show. You remember they're chasing all the other aliens and all that stuff? I loved that show.
And one of them the ice one ended up running like a ice cream shaved ice bus or something.
It got insane.
It did. My favorite is the one where they give Stitch black coffee when he is. And
then he just goes crazy.
He goes crazy, but he's actually in a dog show. Like they actually get him in like one of the dog shows. That's the only episode that I kind of remember in detail from when I was a kid.
Okay. So we got Big Hero 6, Lilo and Stitch, Moana. Let's get a little deeper. Let's even go farther back. You got any like early maybe 2000s as well, or 90s, even older movies that are animated that you still love today?
I'd have to say one of the old ones. I actually didn't see it until recently because I didn't really get into like the whole anime thing until I was about a senior in high school.
Fair enough.
But Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind is a pretty incredible one, and it's beautifully animated.
That's one I have not seen. That is like one of the Miyazakis I haven't seen.
Okay, I would recommend it. I even have it on DVD if you want to borrow it.
I might take you up on that. For Miyazaki, I've seen obviously Spirited Away.
Oh yes.
Princess Mononoke. If I'm pronouncing that right. I always feel like I pronounced that wrong. But I've seen Ponyo. I absolutely love Ponyo. I think Ponyo's amazing. I've seen My Neighbor Totoro, and there's probably one more I'm forgetting. Howl's Moving Castle. I've seen Howl's Moving Castle and Castle in the Sky.
Kiki's Delivery Service?
I have not seen Kiki's Delivery Service yet.
I haven't seen that one either.
And I actually just saw Princess Mononoke in the theater here because they're doing their Studio Ghibli Fest, and I randomly was able to go, and it was amazing.
That's right, they did that one. Was that this last weekend or the one before?
It was. They do an English dub on Sunday, and then Monday they do the subtitle, and then they do another round of the English dub on a Wednesday at the end of each month. So it was just this last week. We went on the Wednesday. It was packed. I didn't expect it to be that packed. Like there was a line out the window.
Ooh.
Or out the window, the door. There was a line out the door. But it was. I've seen now that and Spirited Away on the big screen because of this, and it's just beautiful, like beautiful. I love Miyazaki's movies.
Yeah,
I think
they're
fantastic. Anyway, back to your list. So you throw Nausicaa, right? Was Nausicaa up there?
Yes.
That's your 4. You have 4 now.
So that's 4. Oh.
Yeah. Big Hero 6, Lilo and Stitch. You said Nausicaa, and you had one more. What was the other?
That was Moana.
Moana's the 4th. So what's a 5th? You want me to talk more about anime movies I love while you're thinking?
Sure.
So I'll bring up a recent animation movie that I think is up there, which would be and now I'm forgetting the dang name. It was the claymation movie that came out Kubo and the Two Strings. Did you see that?
Yes, I did.
I loved Kubo and the Two Strings. It felt kind of like, it was claymation with a mix of animation and puppetry, but it kind of had a Miyazaki vibe to it that I liked, but yet it was on its own. I loved that movie. Absolutely loved it.
Did you see the credits when they showed how big that skeleton was with all the swords in his head?
I did not, but
so if you stick around for the credits, they start showing how big that thing is. That thing is almost as tall as a person.
That's insane. Maybe I did see that. I don't know.
That
I see a lot
skeleton
of
is
things.
absolutely huge. The skeleton that they're climbing all over and it's spooky, got all the little swords and other things in his skull. It's a very odd hairdo, very punk.
I love that movie so much. That movie, I did not think that movie was gonna be that great for some reason. I wasn't super I thought the trailers looked okay, but I was blown away in the theater. And I heard how great it was. I just rushed out and was like, maybe if everybody's telling me it's great, I gotta check it out. And it was awesome. Nice. Awesome. Did that give you time to think of a 5th, or are you going to steal Kubo?
I'm not gonna steal Kubo. Kubo is fantastic, but
Go check out Kubo.
yeah, go check out Kubo. I will say, as far as anime goes, I've already kind of given Hayao Miyazaki his due. He's phenomenal.
Yeah.
There is one company, I can't remember who it was, but they made a movie called Patema Inverted.
Okay, I've never even heard of that.
So that one is also, it kind of has a Hayao Miyazaki film. Bad guy ends up basically being a Frollo from Hunchback ripoff, but
Okay.
that's, if you can get past kind of that, the idea is really cool. The idea is basically you
Okay.
have the surface dwellers and the underdwellers. I don't know if that's what they're actually called, but basically 50% of humanity, for 50% of humanity, gravity has been reversed. So people ended up being like sucked into the sky after some kind of experiment. And so they dug tunnels underground so that the people who have gravity reversed live upside down, while everyone else on the surface lives like this. So these guys
sounds awesome.
These guys fall this way, these guys fall that way, and it happens upon a chance meeting of two people who meet each other by a fence to a boundary where kind of one basically walks out of the sewers,
Yeah.
and the other person catches them, and he, weighing more than her, is able to actually like bring her down. So there's like walking, and he's basically just like holding her like she's some kind of a balloon.
That sounds. What's it called again?
Patema Inverted.
Team Inverted. I might check that out. That sounds really
It
interesting.
is really cool. And then
Wow.
basically surface dwellers are very streamlined. Like they live the very horrible. I wouldn't want to live that way, but very streamlined. And it's like the people, they have developed like a religion of people who think about the sky are sinners because the people who got sucked into the sky are sinners, and they've adopted that kind of culture.
Okay.
But he's kind of an exception. His dad did some experiments to fly, and of course was frowned on by that culture.
Yeah.
But it is a
check
good
that
film.
out.
I would definitely recommend it.
So since you we're talking Miyazaki and all these great movies that come out of Asian culture, I've got a question for you because I got in a big debate about this the other day.
Okay.
With some of my other friends who like anime. Guys, if you know anything about Kyle, he's not the biggest anime guy, whether it's movies or TV. He likes a couple of them, like Spirited Away. I obviously love it. You can tell by the Pikachu shirt.
Yep.
So I got a question so you watch a lot of anime shows, right?
I do
a
watch
few.
a few.
Okay.
I certainly hit that hardest when I first was introduced senior year.
Makes
But
sense.
since then, I mean, I've been phasing a little bit out of it, but occasionally I'll find that show that just really captivates me.
Yeah,
and grabs my
that's the
attention.
same with me. Like I've seen a small handful of some of the big ones or ones that have really been recommended to me. But I'm like, we got a roommate Dan who he's like watching a lot. Like he's got a subscription to Crunchyroll that I don't have because he watches so much of it, and there's a lot.
Yeah, I have Verve subscriptions, VRV.
Okay.
And I have that because it does have anime, but it also has really nerdy stuff about, folklore and
That's awesome.
mythology. Rooster Teeth has a channel on it, so you can listen to them. I can listen to Critical Role, which is a D&D podcast.
That's awesome.
So that's my app, which I do like because it's basically for all my nerdy things, and then Netflix is for like my actual TV shows.
Yeah.
But it does have both some Crunchyroll and Funimation shows, but it only has a little of each, so it really tends to kind of get the good ones because they want to put their best forward.
Okay. So my question now is, where do you land on this sub-dub debate that takes place in the West? Because obviously in Japan they watch it in their language.
Yeah.
But here we get so many people who do not speak Japanese or any of those Asian languages, but they are so sure you should watch it in the sub. You should watch it originally the way it's meant to be. Where do you land on that?
For me, it actually varies dependent on one. It really depends on if I find the voice acting tolerable or not, because occasionally the Japanese subs will have like an extremely high-pitched female voice.
Yeah.
One that absolutely drives me up the wall. I don't know why, but it does.
I think some of their male leads are like that a little bit too.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing.
No, it's
I don't
not.
think.
And it's one of those, but then, we also have sometimes the voice acting done in America by some of these companies, especially if it's not like a really popular anime. The voice acting on the American side can be very kind of lackluster and almost just as annoying, because if they have like the little mascot character, America always gives them a very almost ridiculous, unreal voice.
Yeah.
And so for me, it really just varies depending on like who is in the cast. I don't know any of the sub voice actors. I do know a lot of American voice actors just because I've grown up with so much animation.
Yeah.
If any of those people bleed into those films, it's wonderful. Miyazaki films, I love the dubs. I think people do quite well with Miyazaki films.
I think it's because of his reputation.
Yeah.
I know I've seen interviews with like Christian Bale, who was in Howl's Moving Castle, talking about how they take his movie so much seriously, or so much more seriously. It's the sentence I said before wasn't a real sentence, but that they really want to get it right. And I agree with you. I think they do hit. I kind of land on this that like I will miss things visually because I'm reading.
Yes.
I will miss things, and that's not to say that I hate reading with subtitles. There are Asian films that are not animated that I love that I watch with subtitles. I'm fine with subtitles, but I do miss things. And in animation, because like I think Funimation does a fantastic job most of the time, and I think it usually does come down to the individual actors, because I think that. Like, I love voice acting. I love the medium of voice acting. I love making voices. I've loved it since I was a kid. I know you're in that same vein as well.
Very much so.
Yeah, and I love them. So, to me, like, even when... Because I watched One Piece, and I watched all the way through the dub, caught up, and that's like 700 episodes.
That
and
is
then
like
this was...
700 episodes.
They're probably more now. It was 2 summers ago. I was like, I'm going to catch up. And I started in the dub. I got all the way, caught up to the dub, and then I continued watching in sub. And there are dub character or voice actors. I was like, they did not fit that character. They're not working. But then when you listen, even if you can't understand the individual words they're saying, you can tell how their acting is. And some of the Asian actors are fantastic. And I think they fit with the characters better than the English ones. But then I think some of them don't work as well. That they picked a voice that I think it just comes down to acting. I just think some of them are better actors. And animation gives that medium where Funimation will go in and they reanimate part of the mouths to match the American words more, so it's not like, complete mismatch of everything. So I personally think if the dub's available, watch it. I mean, if you prefer what you prefer, you do, but if there is dub, I'd prefer to watch it because I'll miss things visually that I normally wouldn't look at, or I have to go back and after I read whatever they were saying.
Yeah, I mean, I would actually say Full Metal Alchemist, for example. That was a pretty popular one.
I love Full Metal so much.
I think that voice acting crew on the American side was super strong.
I agree.
One of the things, as I mentioned Critical Role a little bit earlier. That one is basically, it's a group of professional voice actors who get together to play Dungeons and Dragons. That's why I really like listening to that. Is
that Dan Harmon's show?
Matt Mercer's show.
Matt Mercer's show.
Does
Dan Harmon does one too, doesn't he?
Yes, Harmon's Quest.
Yeah, okay, because I've been watching, I just recently got into My Hero Academia, so I was watching that, and they play his ads on Crunchyroll a lot.
Yep.
The Dan Harmon ones, so...
Yeah, the Dan Harmon ones are also...
I didn't even know those were... So do they just sit down and they do the voice acting, but they're playing Dungeons and Dragons? Yeah. So then they animate what's going on as well?
They don't actually... So Harmon's Quest does the animation, which sets it apart. This one is basically exactly what we're doing here. It's just a podcast. They also have a camera and a really cool setup. But basically, I mean, you're just watching D&D being played by people who are paid to take on other roles. So it really takes the whole role play part of Dungeons and Dragons to a whole new heights.
Yeah.
Their cast is pretty well known for like their video games and stuff, and whenever some of those people bleed into the anime world, that's usually when I really enjoy some of that work. Like Travis Willingham is one of my favorite voice actors.
He is great.
And I might not even be saying that right, but he was Roy in Full Metal Alchemist.
Yeah, I was gonna say I was trying to figure out exactly who he was in Full Metal, and yeah, Roy was the first one. I love him as Roy.
Yeah.
And even if you watch, have you seen Brotherhood and the original version? When you watch those, you can tell that he's playing them slightly different to me. Like, as I just rewatched them within the last year, both series, and obviously it's the same voice, but he does he goes through different things in both shows, so you can tell he plays it a little bit differently, and that's talent, man. Like that's something I love. Like, I would love to do that, to just make crazy voices all day. That'd be so great.
It does seem like a pretty great idea.
Do you play Dungeons and Dragons?
I used to DM for a group. It is a game I do enjoy, but it's really hard to pull off the commitment that it takes, especially for like a weekly or bi-weekly campaign. So currently, I am taking a break, but I do still do some one-shots for people every now and then. I actually have one this Saturday. So.
Okay, I know one of my roommates, Dan, does it, and he just met a group that all in our mall where we work. He met a group and they played, and they had one night they had to host here because the other house couldn't do it or something. But I did it. I've done it one time, where we sat right over there, and just around the table. There was only 4 of us. Dan was our DM, and I knew a little bit about it, but I never played. But like, it is a game I think I would really enjoy because I was getting into it. I was making voices. I was into it. And we just did a very, very basic storyline. But
yeah.
I mean, I was making up Joe. I actually had a lot of fun with it, and I think we all did. All of us playing, and it gets such a nerdy, like unfair look. I think by society. I think a lot of people look down on it, and I think that's unfair. And I think even maybe I did that. I was like, maybe that's too nerdy for me. But then I actually sat down and I was like, this is a lot of fun. And I could see, because you get so in-depth in a story. And that's so cool to me. I love that. I love that a lot.
Collaborative storytelling. I mean, that's basically what it is. Someone makes the story, but then you have your friends kind of come in and do that. It's actually almost as if everyone for a moment sits down and you just have your own kind of private show where everyone is an actor.
Yeah.
And because, not all of us can make it up to the big leagues.
And I think the game, the fact that there's to people who maybe don't feel as wouldn't as an actor feel comfortable like on a stage or in front of a camera, they just sit down and the board allows them their escape that like actors on film or something would get.
I mean, come on, we all know we all want to slay a dragon.
I would love to slay a dragon. Yeah, we did a very basic story, and I chose to be. I did not choose this as like I'm a man trying to be funny, be a girl. The girl actually had like the I think it was an elf or something. One of the female elves had this specific set of powers I thought were dope. So I was like, I want this, man. So I chose to do that, and I had a lot of fun with it. We had some bad rolls, I remember, and ended up hitting each other. But
friendly fire.
Yeah, it was not good. Anyway, let's keep this anime talk going. So we talked about Full Metal. What other shows have you seen or watched recently? Watching
My Hero Academia. They just continued the. What is it? Is it the 3rd season now or something?
Yeah, 3rd.
So
we just started season 3. I did today. I was actually watching about 20 minutes before you got here.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So I'm mostly caught up. I think I'm a couple episodes behind on that. Really enjoying that one. Another one that I had watched previous to that is Record of the Grand Crest War.
Okay, I haven't heard of that one.
That one is it's very interesting. It's kind of, I don't want to compare it to like Game of Thrones, but it kind of has that whole we're all fighting each other for supremacy kind of thing. You have your hero, and it's very interesting if you're looking for a anime that has a good fantasy story without the like super heavy hitting anime tropes, because Fairy Tail is very good, but occasionally I do like my kind of fantasy that isn't shooting magic that blows up.
I
punching fire that blows up an entire crater.
I get that. I tried Fairy Tail specifically and just couldn't get into it very much. I don't know what it was.
I didn't finish it. The only of the those big ones, Fairy Tail, One Piece, Bleach.
I know Naruto, Bleach, and One Piece are like the big 3. They're like the biggest, longest, and Bleach I know gets in a lot of trouble because it really struggled.
It really
through its few seasons. I never actually watched it. I never really got into it. I saw a few episodes.
And see, that's actually the only one I could get into.
Really?
And I think it's because I've always, as I said, I'm a mythological folklore. Love that stuff. So that supernatural spin on things, I loved it. So the whole, whenever they are like, hey, spirit world, you have my attention.
Yeah, I get that. I know currently, my girlfriend Marie's the one who got me into My Hero Academia. She's been pushing for me to watch it forever, and we finally sat down, and I love it. I think it gives you everything. I mean, it obviously plays on Western superhero culture a little bit.
Oh yeah.
And I love that, and it's not necessarily the most it's not this insane creative story, but it's got all these cool characters, but it's got the perfect dose to me of because I like the cheesy anime moments that they have a lot, where the hero and the villain have this epic battle. They, it's their wills against each other, and they say these iconic funny lines that wouldn't work in any other medium. And this show's full of it, and I love that.
Yeah.
I love that a lot. And then the other one, my brother finally got me to watch, is Hunter x Hunter. Have you seen that?
X Hunter. That is one that has been recommended a couple times, but no, I have not seen it.
I've got literally like 8 episodes left. I think less than that actually, and I really like that. It's low key kind of shot up to one of my favorites I think I've ever watched.
Okay.
Like really quickly, because it kind of does a deconstruction of normal shonen shows. So like Naruto, obviously, and there's a couple really cool YouTube videos that explain this in depth, but I'll give you a little basic thing on it. So these main characters, everybody's kind of like on an even playing field, and really hard work will get you there. Whereas like My Hero or like Naruto or One Piece, like, you know, Luffy's got the devil fruit that gives him a little bit of a, like his special devil fruit's an edge over everybody else. Naruto's got a demon inside of him. And Midoriya's obviously got All Might's power, where everybody in this is kind of just on the same level. So the fighting is pretty even, and you can tell that all the young characters know they can get there one day because it's just through hard work. And that, to me, works. I like that a lot. It's very relatable, because it's not just like, I want to be the one kid with the Sharingan eyes who's just way cooler than everybody else, you know? But yeah. What else you been watching on there, though? Or any other animes?
The other one that I've been watching recently was, I can't remember what it's called. I always struggle with, the actual words. Like, I think it's Barakuman.
Okay.
I think that's what it's called.
I've heard of that.
So that one is definitely, it's not, shonen. There's, the only action scene in that whole show is the very beginning. But it's about a calligraphy artist who has, he's been super talented his whole life.
Yeah.
He's mastered the fundamentals.
Yeah.
And then he finally gets into a show where someone doesn't call him a genius. In fact, the critic goes so far to basically say, oh, I see that you're just going to chill at the fundamentals and you're never going to grow your own wings.
Okay.
So the calligraphy dude, who has obviously kind of been full of himself up to now, actually punches this old man.
Okay.
And so his dad, is like, I think with all the negative attention you're getting, you should go to this very small village on kind of an island. So very tiny farming village. And it's really just a story about him spending time with all these local villagers and really getting to know them, as he also practices his calligraphy. And like every single day he is there, he practices his calligraphy. He finds some new inspiration that he acts on. So it is one of the ones that I would say is incredibly heartwarming, and
I could see that with the way you're describing it.
It was a very good show, and definitely the side of anime that I think some people do get to see, but not a lot do, because it is sometimes very hard to see past the shonen giants.
Yeah, it's those big ones that are 700-800 episodes long that are full of filler that mean nothing, and you gotta weed through. Naruto's like 52% filler, like that's insane. But people forget that, like, in Japan, this is like, we get on the TV and there's the channels that show old things that our parents watch, and then we've got our cartoons, and then we've got a lot of live action. Most of what they watch is all anime and all animation, which is just crazy. And people forget that, like, I've heard some of the best animes that I've never watched past the big three are like cooking show ones, or there's like one about basketball that's apparently amazing.
Is that Kuroko's basketball?
I don't know. I just hear it's amazing. I haven't watched it. I've just heard it's really good. I know Dan watches it.
There's a few. There's a volleyball one now that's pretty popular called like Haikyuu, and I haven't watched it, but
yeah,
no, there is. It is one. What do they say? So again, anyone listening, if you're like a big anime nut, pardon me when I mess up everything.
Pardon both of us.
But it's what people say is that anime is a medium. Like, it's a way of telling a story. It's not a genre, and a lot of people do tend to lump it into like a genre.
Yeah, it's just another version of animation, and that's all it is.
Yeah.
And you can tell some insane stories that the way they draw, the way they animate is just so much different. And I love it. Sometimes I get blown away by some of the things. Like even in My Hero, some of those action shots are just insane to me.
Yeah.
And they remind me, like, Naruto blew my mind as a kid. That's the show that got me down the rabbit hole. What was yours? Come on, there had to be one.
Okay.
Something that got you down the rabbit hole.
I mean, when I was a kid, I was one of the kids that, I watched Pokemon and Digimon all the time.
Those don't count, though, because a lot of people don't know
exactly.
those are anime.
And I didn't either.
Yeah.
So what ended up happening was I actually went into my science fiction and fantasy reading class. We read books and stuff. And I happened to be
I took one of those, I think.
I happened to be put in a group with these people. We were reading, and we were to read Game of Thrones. So...
We had to read The Hobbit.
Yeah. I read The Hobbit in high school, too. But senior year of high school, I ended up reading...
Those are two very different sized novels.
Right?
Oh my goodness.
But so as we read through it, the group I got put in, they started talking about, like anime.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really understand what you guys are saying. And so they started naming off, Hayao Miyazaki films.
Which is a great way to get introduced.
And so I was like, well, so those are anime, right? And they're like, yeah. I was like, maybe I'll check that out. Just so happened that, I then went home, turned on Netflix, and they had talked about Howl's Moving Castle in particular.
Yeah.
And so I watched Howl's Moving Castle
on Netflix,
that night, and the rest is history.
That blew you away? So it was Howl's Moving Castle that got you in, okay.
Yeah, Howl's Moving Castle got me in, and then I watched a show called Death Note.
Oh, love me some Death Note. I love Death Note.
Which just put me further in, and then that's also about the time I started watching Bleach.
Yeah.
But that's last semester of high school. I don't remember most of the anime I watched because that was like all I was watching as far as my TV shows. Like instead of turning on FX, which is what I used to do. I used to just turn on FX and like watch movies after school.
Just whatever was on, yeah.
For like the rest of my senior year, I got really interested in this stuff, and so I started watching Bleach, and that's what got me there.
I got in obviously a little younger than you were. I started getting in. Naruto got me in early 2000s. I think I was in 6th grade. And we were it was like beginning of 6th grade because I moved out of Bozeman to Idaho after 6th grade. Because I remember going to the library to pick up Naruto mangas. And I didn't want anyone to know because a lot of my friends were like always talking football, always talking basketball, and I didn't want anybody to know except Kyle was the only one who knew because he read comic books. So I would like go real early. I'd ask my mom to drop me off real early at school, and I'd walk in and I'd go, get out the next chapter because they were getting like a bunch of chapters. And so I would read, but they were always near the episode, so I would read the episodes beforehand, and then I'd go home and watch them. But there was a long time, my Saturdays were literally just wake up, and it was, Pokemon, Digimon. It was get those Saturday morning cartoons out of the way. And then go play all day, and then run back in for the evening cartoons, and then Toonami, where they were playing anime.
Oh.
And they were playing Naruto and DBZ. And I know DBZ is the big one that I think got a lot of people into it.
Yeah.
And Death Note was probably the real first, I think Full Metal, and then Death Note getting more into some of the darker ones. And Naruto gets dark, but Naruto, I was 12 when I was watching it, so I was growing with him. Where the other ones, like I didn't know. I think Death Note is a great one to get people to realize that because a lot of people think anime is just about like women's breasts and tentacles and that's I've talked to people and that's how they view anime. And we actually had a friend, I won't name him, but he probably will watch this and he knows who he is, who was just over here and we were watching an episode of Attack on Titan. We were showing it to a couple people. We were showing it to Kyle. And he left, and then the other day a couple days later we were talking, and he's like, so that's anime? And I was like, yeah, that's anime. And he was like, that is not what I thought it was. He's like, I always thought it was big-breasted women and tentacles, and he was like, these people, this girl's flying around, she's awesome, she's cutting giants' heads off, I don't know what's going on. And we were like, we were middle season 2 watching, so he was really like, he's watching Eren turn into a Titan. He's like, what is going on? And I know he's maybe now slightly considered maybe watching him, but he's slowly getting there. And we talked to him a little bit. That I think Death Note's a good one to get into where it's not over sexualized. Because even My Hero has a little bit of that. Seven Deadly Sins has some of that. One Piece has a lot of that. But Naruto's got some, but not a whole lot. Dragon Ball Z's obviously got a lot of it, but Full Metal doesn't really have any of that. that kind of sexualization. It's just focused on those characters and stories. So I always recommend Full Metal or Death Note to get people into it. Death Note, if you think they'll enjoy the darker side more, and then if they might want some humor, I always recommend Full Metal, because Full Metal is just too good. Oh, yeah. To me, that's my favorite anime of all time. I think Brotherhood probably over the original, but I think the original gets too much flack.
Yeah, I mean, the original got a lot of flack because it took its own creative liberties and really branched from the original manga version. Which
she wanted, the original creator wanted, because, what was it? It was like she wasn't ready for her story. She wanted to wait till the manga was completely finished, so she told them to go in a different direction. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No worries. But then, like, Brotherhood is the one that, it still took some liberties, but it was very much closer to the original story, and that's why a lot of people will go to that one. I think they were both great stories. The endings were clearly very different.
Yeah,
in the two.
Very different.
Extremely different. But, I mean, that's what storytelling is. I mean, back to kind of like the D&D thing. Tons of people will write about a mad wizard in a tower.
Yeah.
But each one is going to take their own entirely different spin on it, which is what makes every table unique. Every story can be about the same thing, but if it's told differently, it's still enjoyable.
Yeah, I know I've had a long conversation with my brother about this, where obviously viewers, if you don't watch anime, you're probably not listening already at this point. So I guess minor spoilers here for Full Metal, but I think Full Metal, the original and Brotherhood handle things differently. I actually think the way the homunculi are treated in the original is better than Brotherhood. I think it's more personal to all the characters and the way it weaves through the story. But then again, I think the action and the comedy are better in Brotherhood, whereas the original's it does have comedy, but it stays darker a little bit more. But Brotherhood, I mean, it's the only show I can really say that you can literally be laughing and then crying within a 2-episode span, or even a few minutes span. Like, it's so fast.
Yeah.
I mean, if you viewers are listening, you know what I'm talking about when I say Nina or Hughes. You know what I'm talking about. Your heart's broken right now. You're crying.
It's still too soon for that, Alex.
It's never too soon. I was saying too to him a couple weeks ago, we were talking about this, that if you had to have one version of it, and you took, because part of the reason Brotherhood kind of is slow to get into is because they speed through those things, because they know everybody's probably watched it. So if you take those first 15 episodes of the original and put those in front of Brotherhood and then let that story go off, it would flow better. The flow doesn't work super great, I think, in Brotherhood because they speed up.
Yeah, kind of. One of the things, I mean, when one of them really stuck out like a sore thumb. I can't ever remember his name because he's a really minor character. But you know, like the guy with like the messy mustache. Loki. Yeah, that was his name. So like, you know, in the first one, you actually see his alchemists and see what they did to him. And he then comes back later and it's a little more meaningful, whereas like Brotherhood, it's like you meet him for the first time and he just kind of gives you like a flashback of what they did to him.
Yeah, it's like literally a mini movie within the show.
Yeah, he does like a little mini movie. Like, it is a PowerPoint presentation that he gives you to just say, they wronged me this way, this way, this way, this way. It's like, all right, Loki. All right.
Yeah, but you see, you don't get his backstory in such a depth way, but at the same time, he's used better in Brotherhood, I think.
Yes, he is used better.
I also think, again, minor spoilers here, the gates are used a lot differently, and I really enjoy the liberties, because I think the gate idea in the original, that it's two worlds connected, and it's our world and then their world, I think is super interesting. And then each show's had movies, but the original movie actually changes the ending of that show, where Brotherhood's movie does not do that. It's just a fun movie, which is insane to me, because you have to tell people also watch the movie for the original, but make sure it's that movie or you're going to be confused. Yeah. And I like that movie because I like that they do that, because people didn't like the ending. People didn't like how it ended.
It's like Star of Milos, right? Is what that one was called, wasn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
I think so. Yeah, I know Star of Milos is one of them. I can't remember if that's the one that's for the original. I think you are right. I think
that's
it is.
The original.
I just watched it like 7 months ago. I should know because I was showing it to somebody. True, but the original also has more of a, like, they both have bittersweet endings, but the original's is kind of harder to deal with. Like, the Brotherhood's ending, you accept. It does kind of stink, but since you're not getting any more of the show, you're okay with it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I love that show. What? Give us another. Give us like a one people wouldn't expect. Another one. Another show you like.
People wouldn't.
That's not a big three. That's not a Bleach that you watched. Or is there one you were super into back in the day or now that?
Okay, there's a lot that I was into back in the day that I
give us one that people might not know of.
I mean, I guess for that I'm just going to go back to the Record of Grand Crest.
Okay.
Just because that is one I watched recently, and I don't know if it's as popular. It might be popular. I'm not entirely certain. I'm not good at keeping up with trends, so I would definitely say that I liked that one. Again, because I as you said earlier, I love kind of like, the anime aspect of the super overblown fight. I do love that, but that's also why sometimes when I find one that breaks those trends, I find it it's a very fresh breath of air.
I get that. That's what Hunter x Hunter was for me.
Yeah.
Because, I know people are in love with Dragon Ball Super, and I watched it, and I do like it, but, at some point, Dragon Ball got tough for me. Because how many times are you going to get a new power where you're the best ever, and there's another guy who's better than you? Because they went so galactic so fast in those shows that, I do love it, and Super, I don't know, did you watch a lot of Dragon Ball Z?
I watched, not a lot, because when I first got into it, I tried watching Dragon Ball Z. I think Kai was the one that was coming out at the time.
Yeah,
but
it was cutting out the filler, and they got a couple new voice cast members.
It was the same thing for me. I can see where some people would like it, and I feel like if I would have gotten into it at an earlier time, I probably would have appreciated it. Younger age, I probably would have loved it. But I do find it, like you said, it's kind of I can scream louder, and you've beaten me to the point where I feel like I'm going to lose. Now watch me suddenly get my new power that will then put you on your toes.
As a kid, I was I loved it. And then rewatching Super, it's super, pun intended, it's very nostalgic. But it really is that. They had to get even new characters you didn't know about, that didn't exist, that you didn't think. And then they go from one universe to 12 universes and all this stuff, so they can have more people to fight. And it just, at some point, it's I want something a little bit more grounded. And that's what a Hunter x Hunter did. Or more fun, because I really, really am enjoying My Hero Academia. I'm slowly really falling in love with this show. I think it's great.
It is an extremely... That one is a shonen that I think we've been waiting for a long time. Because it's a shonen that doesn't just straight up follow the steps of its forefathers, Naruto and One Piece.
Yeah, but I think it has the potential to be that big next replacement.
No, I mean, it's extremely good, and it will be big. I'm just saying, what I love about it is that it is different.
It is different, yeah. But I think it and Attack on Titan are slowly going to become the, not the next big three, but kind of the longer shows. I think My Hero will probably go on for a while. And maybe if I'm wrong and they've announced 80 episodes only or something, but it has that potential to go that far for sure. And I'm just catching up now, and I love it. I kind of want to read ahead, because I read some of them. I'm way ahead on Attack on Titan. I'm caught up to the manga. I'm reading those. And a lot happens with that. Do you watch that show?
I haven't watched the second season yet. I watched first 3 episodes, I think. But I do intend to go back and watch it eventually. Is it good?
I love Attack on Titan. I will say, as it goes on, you get a little bit more political, and so I'm slowly it's a lot of dialogue in the book anyway. But the show anyway is about to drop some big stuff that I'm freaking out for. And I think season 3 has dropped also. I think in the sub it has dropped at least an episode or 2, I believe, because I knew it was coming up. But I think these next 2 arcs are gonna be fantastic, which might be cool to binge. If you're gonna wait, it might be something cool to really binge at once. Those whatever 30, 40 episodes they are. But yeah, I've read that ahead. Do you read any of them, or do you just watch?
So I used to read.
Okay.
Manga when I had my iPhone, because it had an app I really liked for that.
Those apps are awesome.
Yeah, and It was free, so it let me read a lot. I've been out of touch with this stuff for a little bit now.
That's fair.
I occasionally do watch them. As far as reading, I think the most recent one I would have read was a friend loaned me a copy of My Love Story.
I've never heard of that. You're dropping so many shows and books I need to pick up and read. What's this one about?
So this one is so it's a romance. I've only read 2 of its issues, but it is again, it's kind of like the heartwarming one. You have 2 male cast members. One is kind of like the quiet, cool kid that all the girls love him.
Yeah.
Then you have his friend who's like this really big dude, and he has those anime lips,
Those
like the
big
bulgy lips. So I'm pretty sure that the author wanted to take gorillas and turn them into a character when they made
goodness.
him. He is very I don't want to say ape-like because
beefy,
but he's
just
extremely
beefy guy.
beefy. He's just huge, and when you look at him, you're just like, are you even a human? But at the same time, so this is kind of the thing where he and him end up going on a subway. The big guy sees a cute girl who is having her butt touched by another dude on the subway. So being the big dude he is, he basically just grabs the guy by the collar and picks him up with one arm. This is how big he is.
Yeah, okay.
Just picks the guy up. He's always been really popular with dudes. All the girls, of course, no.
Yeah.
He's not exactly a looker.
Yeah.
But he just picks that guy up, and so she then wants to repay him. And through several meetings, he, of course, thinks that when she starts showing up more, that she obviously likes his friend, because that's how it's always been. But eventually, they start dating, and kind of the plot starts going up from there. It's incredibly cute, and there are, of course, there's always shenanigans.
There's always shenanigans.
There's...
Okay, I might have to check that one out. There's a few I watch and read. Attack on Titan's probably the only thing. I read Naruto catching up, and now that that's finished, I have not read their spin-off Boruto, but I probably should, about his son.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not big on those, though. I'm not big on when the show then follows the son, and it worked kind of for Dragon Ball Z, but it's still mainly Goku's show, but a lot of those big animes that do that, I can't handle. I gotta try some of these ones you're telling me about, these beefy guys.
I have watched some of Boruto, and I think it is actually pretty good so far from what I've seen.
I think I watched or read something, but an issue, and that was it.
Yeah, I kind of actually do like it when the lineage kind of continues into a new story, because it gives the chance for you to really see the world after everything Naruto and all those characters.
Giant war or whatever.
Yeah, you get to see the aftermath and kind of see what's going on now that all that's been settled.
Fair. I'm just not. I hate when characters have a really cool power. Naruto has his own specific powers, and then obviously his son is able to do that just as easily as he was, because he taught him when he was 7 years old. Yeah. So then you're it feels sometimes to me it feels like we've reached a point of how cool these characters can go. So we do this follow their son thing, give them all the powers that they like from the original show, but then they're not super mega too unbeatable, because in Naruto technically he's really unbeatable, so it's hard to keep that story going, which obviously doesn't work for Dragon Ball Z. They just do that all they want. They just make new people up, but maybe I should try Boruto. I've thought about it, but
yeah, Bleach in the end definitely kind of started doing that, because at first it was really cool because he was a Soul Reaper, but then he also gets infected with the Hollow, which is the bad ghosties, and then you have these other people whose powers are never really explained. He has his friend who just has these hairpins that turn into fairies. That's never really explained as to why that happened. He has his friend who grows an alien arm that shoots energy and lets him punch really hard.
And you'll never know.
And you don't really ever find out how they got their powers. Basically, the explanation that you're given is they had encounters with the baddie ghosties at some point, so they develop strange powers. But of course, his best friends who he starts adventuring with, he of course outgrows them very quickly because he's the main character. He gets all his powers. They fade off into the background, and they have to introduce new people who are of his same power level.
Yeah.
That was what I didn't like, but what really hurt in the end was he started doing, that thing where when you're like 10 and you try to think of your first like character, and you want him to have all the cool powers of everything. Ichigo ends up being that. It ends up he's like, he's the Soul Reaper, he's the bad ghosty, he's also like the spirit archer, because apparently like later it's discovered his mom was a spirit archer. And so it's one of those things where in the end he has all of those powers.
Yeah.
And I loved it until then.
Yeah, and I can see that. That's too much. And I've heard Bleach had a really rough ending, and people are very dissatisfied with how it ended.
I mean, it is because, like, he should have cut it off at Aizen, because Aizen was the big bad. Yeah. He was the big bad guy. Like, that was the one that he kickstarted the storyline. It was all about him. But then, like, the problem was they also introduced so much filler between.
Stop with the filler.
Between, like, so many just bad guys who had nothing to do with the actual plot. So it was like a whole season dedicated to this baddie. And you had to wait so long before they finally went and, like, fought and went back on track to fight him. Yeah. I think that's really probably what hurt Bleach, in my opinion. But that is just my opinion.
What do you guys think? Comment below. All right. As we're wrapping up here, I want you to, since we went on a long anime tangent, which I love, because I could do that all day. Give the viewers, the few viewers still watching 30, 40 minutes in who are anime freaks, or if they're not and they're just watching, for your opinion, give a little something on why people should watch anime. People who are like, no, and they're against it. Like, why would you say so?
I would say that you should watch anime because it's a fun medium. Above all else, it's really fun. Yes, it does have that very sexualized side
Some of them
of
do,
it.
yeah.
Some of them
a lot
have
of
that.
them do.
So, but if you can start off with the right episodes, I think it's one of the few mediums where you can really get away with just absolutely absurd humor.
Yeah.
But then the next episode have something extremely like dark or like something game-changing happen in the next episode. Like it can have those really serious moments that really captivate you, but then it can go straight from that to just something that's really going to just kick you back up again and I think that's what makes it the most fun.
Yeah. And you can do things that you just can't in other mediums.
Yeah.
You can't do that in Avengers can get pretty crazy, but animation allows you to do some things that you never thought, powers you never even thought. I mean, that's the coolest thing about My Hero is I'm thinking of powers that I weirdly would be like, that does work, and they're the most absurd powers. Like one guy shoots tapes at his elbows, and you're like, what? You're like, this is the dumbest power ever, and then you get 20 episodes in, you're like, this guy's kind of cool. He's kind of badass. I'm into it. So yeah, I like that. All right, wrap it up, viewers. Hey, is there anything you want to plug? You got any like a Twitter or something you want to throw out there?
No, nothing like that.
Yeah, none of my friends do that, guys, but I love bringing guys like Andrew on because they have the coolest, views and awesome opinions and thoughts on all this culture that I love so much. So I bring you onto the Weaver Wire. Guys, follow Weaver Wire Podcast, SoundCloud, YouTube, Movie Meals. Follow me on Twitter at AJVWeaver7. You know where to find all that stuff. And thanks for coming, buddy.
Yeah, no, thank you.
It was a pleasure.
It was fun.
All right, thanks for watching, Mom. See you guys.